Shalom, shalom, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Rooted in Hebrew. My name is Mike. It's kind of cold out here today, but I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to talk about some things that what this government has put in place and things. And I'm waiting on Sister Doreen. I'm waiting on her to come on. And we're going to talk about money matters and things of that nature. Shalom, Sister Linda Cross. Shalom, brother. We got next. I'm glad you all are able to make it in today. There's a lot of things that has happened. Shalom, Sister Monica. Well, just to get started, my sister, she works for a health medical group, and yesterday she got a phone call, and like a great deal of those workers was proposed well, they're about to be fired, put it that way. So they gotta make a decision as to what they're going to do by what day was this? They gotta look at it by February 24th. And it's a healthcare organization that my sister worked for, right? But I did not know. Shalom, Brother Ricky. Man, I love that video you sent, man. You just don't know. You got me all fired up now. Yeah, I'm trying to do some things, brother, in for Zambia. I appreciate that video, brother. Shalom, Sister Donna. Shalom. All right, hold on just for a moment. Yes, and but what had happened? My sister got that information, so she started looking for a job. But I did not know that this particular, what is it, Medicaid, is tied to the government. And so if you know anyone that's on Medicaid, they're about to get a rude awakening. They are about to get a rude awakening. They're shutting it down. They're about to shut it down. And my sister found that out yesterday. This is what the government do. Oh, you have the IRS that did what they did. They going down. They just, all this stuff is moving downhill. But I have an auntie that's on Medicare. My people that's retired and things of that nature. And they are dependent upon those type of services. Brothers, when I tell you that beast is showing himself. He's acting it out. And that beast don't have no love. There's no love at all that's going to be involved in this. Because if you take Medicare, and if you're a person that's on medicine, and Medicare is not active no more, what do you think will happen? You're going to start seeing that Deagle report showing itself for 2025. And for you all that do not know about the Deagle report, that's the one where they're saying there's too many people on this planet. That's what they are assuming. And so some people needs to be deleted off of this planet. And so now, if this is what they got to do, is sing, they're just like walking their footsteps up and down this nation in order to free up whatever they're trying to free up and do whatever they're trying to do. Because, like I said, there is no love. I was talking to my sister, and she said, She just don't. I mean, a lot of people just don't understand the severity of what's about to happen. I was talking to another sister a couple of days ago. Um, this sister here, she's on dialysis, and they told her, "Oh, we no longer take Medicare." Shalom, shalom, Sister Kathy. The people at the dialysis told her they no longer take Medicare. And brothers and sisters, I said this a while ago. When you look at the dialysis centers, where are they mostly located at? In black neighborhoods. Black neighborhoods. When you go in there, you look at the demographics for people who has what part of the country of the United States where there's a heavy case of diabetes. You go see the South and Southeast, and you go see our people. We're going to be dominating in it. Brothers and sisters, if this is the way that they're looking at to decrease the numbers, we're putting ourselves in those positions. And what's killing about diabetes, the thing about Shalom, Sister Patricia, I'm glad you made it in today, sis. That's a disease that can be managed. 15 minutes a day on a stationary bike. 15 in the morning, 15 at night. And then at the same time, just watch your diet. But we got accustomed to a pill. And we still think that we can still eat these types of foods. And we can't. We cannot continue to go in that route. Now, they're seeing a way out for themselves. If this is the case, that they seeing this and they find it in their mind that they can see, hey, we can take these people out without even catching a case, they're going to use it. They are going to try their best to use it, and it seems that's what they're doing. If it ain't diabetic, then we're dealing with high blood pressure. Yes. We're on a whole different level now. When they are talking about, well, they don't talking, they did it. These medical centers are not taking Medicare any longer. And I just found that out. Well, I found that out a couple of days ago. But my sister, where she works at, yeah, it just reconfirmed it. This was happening with them. And she said, and she was telling me, Shalom, Brother Roberts. Yeah, that a lot of people are about to be affected when it comes to that. And I'm quite sure we all have family members that has that type of, medical insurance or whatever the situation may be. But that's a power that they came to realize that they have, that they can use against us. Shalom, Sister Van P. But this is what's going on. Oh, yes, we need to pray. We need to pray and obey the Most High's laws when it's all over said and done, because that's what it's going to boil down to being. This world moved us into overeating. That little small scripture when Yahushua was saying, do not be overeating and heavy drinking, and instantly that they be upon you. Hey, now it's coming home now. Now we starting to understand, hey, this is this scripture was written for our time. Because now we have to really, truly we got to start taking that scripture to heart now. But when we was in Christendom, it went in one ear and out the other. That's what it did with us. And I tell you, this is not that time where we want to be playing that little what I don't know role. No, this is the time we have to literally um, break it down and be about our business. We're seeing what's happening. They starting with the medical, Medicaid, medical. And if you don't have the money or the funds to do it, whew, that's going to be rough. And especially if you have family members that that depend, and that's the ticket. It's the dependency that they got us at that's going to hem us up. When brothers and sisters was talking about we need our own pharmacy, we need our own herbs and things of that nature. Now we're about to understand just how serious it is that truthfully, we should have been on top of that a long time ago, but we kept putting our hands out in front of people and said, I need my blood pressure medicine, or I need my insulins. We put ourselves in want, and we don't know what they're putting it in, because we do know that over time, dealing with high blood pressure or being diabetic, it damages the kidneys, and both of them damage the kidneys, which in essence will lead you to dialysis. We are a money making machine for the Gentiles. If you don't high blood pressure, your kidneys are going to go out. Diabetic, keep on going the same route, your kidneys go out. That's what we made ourselves out to be in. Now we come in at the same time, we're coming to understand now why the Most High had those laws in place, because it was just not going to serve as a sense of obedience. It's going to serve as life. That's what it would do. It was going to serve as life. As long as we follow those laws. Now, sister, it is reversing, because I'm seeing other nations, contending with those diseases. But at the same time, in order for us to recognize, because you know what, one of the brothers, I was looking at his channel, he was talking about this, when he was concentrating on the scripture that was talking about that, how we gonna be leaving crying and everything. Now I'm coming to understand that scripture a whole lot more, because we got ourselves in a particular position. And yeah, you're right, sister. Yeah, you're right, sister. Sister Monica. Hold on. What's this? Hold on. All right, I know. All right. And so that's what we have seen. Shalom, Sister Doreen.
Shalom, Brother Mike.
How you doing, sis?
I am fantastic, and I'm looking forward to a great session this morning.
Okay, that's not a problem. So I'll tell you what we're gonna do.
No, keep going.
Yeah, because it ain't, what I got to say is not gonna be that long. It's just more so of a warning for the brothers and sisters out there that's dealing with Medicare and things of that nature. This is what the Trump administration is doing. These medical centers are no longer taking Medicare, Medicaid, or whatever they want to call it. I think it's two of them. Medicaid and all right, that's what it is.
What is it?
And so Medicaid and Medicare. Those are the two.
Medicare is federal. Medicaid is state. However, they get a lot of federal funding for the Medicaid. So are they're messing with Medicaid?
Sister, yeah. Keep take on a show for me. Let me answer this phone call, sis. Go ahead and keep going on.
All right. I think he put us on mute. So just to piggyback on what he was saying, I do believe, I don't know, I came in late here, so I'm not sure what you all were exactly were talking about. But all right, he's back.
I'm sorry about that, sister. Yeah.
So I asked the question: are you all talking about Medicare or Medicaid or
Oh, it's
both?
two of them. It's two of them. Because my sister, she worked for Medicare, United Healthcare. That's what she worked for. And so she informed me that this was, these are the things that's going downhill, because she got up to May of this year, and then her job is ended.
Okay. So she works for United Healthcare?
Yes, she does.
Okay, so United Healthcare accepts Medicare as of today. I have no idea what they're doing. And they also have a Medicare Advantage program, which you are getting United Healthcare insurance, but it's through Medicare, so to speak. So they have this all-encompass kind of come to us, you pay little to nothing, and we'll cover all of your Medicare needs kind of thing. So they have two different types of plans. And so you're telling me the government is messing with the Medicare side of things. Oh, and he's gone again.
I'm sorry, sister. Say it again.
So you're telling me they're messing with the Medicare side of things. So
yeah,
they won't be funding United Healthcare.
Yeah. Now, what my sister was saying, and with this other sister, I got her for two different people. She went in for a medical treatment, and they turned her around. And they said that they're no longer taking Medicare. That was just a week ago. My sister called me yesterday and told me that they're about to lay them off. And they said their last day is May, and she works for United Healthcare.
Interesting. Yeah. I need to find out more about that. I knew they were cutting back, and a lot of places were no longer dealing with Medicare Advantage, which is Plan C. But I didn't know they weren't accepting Medicare at all, because I worked in the healthcare industry for a while. And a lot of these agencies, I used to do bookkeeping and financial management consulting for home health agencies. And the bulk of their money comes from Medicare. Yeah, so that's why I was saying, but they can't make money from patients that have Medicare Advantage, because that's a different plan, and you can only get your services from the insurance company that you are associated with, like United Healthcare or whatever. And they have their own home health. They have everything within their company. So it's a one-stop shop. You go to the people that are in their network kind of thing. Now, I did hear about some disputes between Medicare Advantage and Medicare. So because they get to control a lot. Medicare Advantage is almost like having a HMO. So you have to go to their doctors. They have to approve stuff first, and all of that kind of stuff that goes on, like with a HMO. And so a lot of doctors are not wanting to take that because they're not approving necessary procedures and things of that nature. So I'm wondering if that's it, or it's Medicare period that that is not paying.
Well, you know what? I would look at it like this. I mean, I don't know, sis. I'm just going back on what these two sisters said. My sister and this other sister, and so and then I'm also looking at the Deagle report. The Deagle report, it also said 2025. Hey, they want, they saying there's too many people on this planet. And truthfully, sister, if we're going to look at things, and I would say the South and Southeast is where the majority of us live. And then you go see for the vast majority of us, we dealing with high blood pressure and diabetes. So now if they're talking about, and now this is just what my sister is saying, and what this other sister, that sister there says she can no longer, she got to do something. If she don't, she's going to die. It's just that simple. If she don't get her blood cleansed, she's going to, she's going to die. And so I'm looking at the fact that you're looking at a lot of people that's dealing with high blood pressure and diabetes. Both of them need medication. The position that we may be in, it don't look good at all. It does not. And that's just me looking out and seeing a bad situation for us if this is the so-called move of this government. It seems like you want to have people that's going to be dropping.
And you know what? It almost makes me feel like we put a lot of emphasis on the jab, and maybe this is all kind of coming into, you know what I'm saying, as far as a mark.
Yeah, sis, I'm like,
if you're dependent on that, then you have to do their way or you're out.
Well, sister, that's another thing I was looking at. And see, in order for you to instill fear in people, people need to start dropping. When you start seeing people drop from high blood pressure, from diabetes.
I'm looking at Sister Kathy's. Yeah. I find it quite interesting that they're what do you call it? Trimming down or streamlining the government, and at the same time they're finding a way to wipe certain ones out of existence. And I don't want to say too much because I don't know all about what gets people strikes and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, just watching this kind of play out. I watched something that was talking about some place where all of our records are at were shut down. Does somebody know what? The National Archives, they've taken over that, and so several people have resigned or been fired, and that houses a lot of our history. So it's amazing how, under the auspice of we got to trim down the government and this, that, and the other, we're kind of being wiped out. And I'll leave it there. I don't want to talk much more on that, but
yeah, that's shucks. That's what I'm seeing, and I think that that's what I'm seeing, and it just really to put the brothers and sisters on notice. And like I said, if you want to instill fear in someone, You need to it's like they need to see people dropping. And so if you want to talk about like COVID, what did they use? They used that fear. And that fear drove everybody to go get the lollipop. It was fear. And so if this is the way that they want to use the beast system, hey, they know exactly what needs to be done in order to get people's attention. But at the same time, you warn brothers and sisters, you just let them know, hey, this is what they're doing. And in the event that it does go in that way, at least the brothers and sisters want to know, hey, we talked about this weeks or months ago, and they're doing it. And they're going to know exactly what they're doing. And so, hey, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. But, I just encourage brothers and sisters to always stay on the watch and to pay attention of what's going on. And so that we just don't be haphazardly just walking about minding our business and things are right there in front of our face. The danger is right there in front of our face. But I mean, moving on, sister. Now this is your time, Sister Doreen.
All righty, thank you. Before I get started, if and when you see Sister Zenobia enter the chat, let me know, because I'm not always looking at the chat, but let me know.
Okay, I will.
I feel like I owe her a personal apology on this platform. So let me know.
Okay, we'll do.
All righty. So today I want to pick up from where we left off on Thursday in regards to debt, credit, interest, all of that kind of stuff. So we talked about debt, and debt, just to recap, is money you owe to others. That's basically what debt is. If you borrowed something, you got to pay it back. That's the debt. And credit is basically what you are capable of borrowing. So a credit card, a loan, that kind of thing. Initiating that is the credit. The terms on how you pay it back is what the debt is all about, how you or the people you owe money to. So once you establish credit, you've also established debt, so to speak, because you have to pay it back. And then we also talked about different forms of credit cards, personal loans, business loans, lines of credit, government bonds, promissory notes, things of that nature. The thing about credit, as we talked about last time, is you always pay it back, or in most cases, you pay it back with interest. And we talked about interest. Another name for it is usury. In the Bible, it talks about usury, and it talks about it being a crime. And we are not supposed to use interest when giving loans to our brothers and sisters. So I just want everybody to have that back fresh in their mind. We also talked about the Federal Reserve and who they are. And I really want us to understand the importance of the Federal Reserve, because if any of you are like me or how I was, that went over my head. It wasn't of concern to me. That was some government stuff that had no effect on me, but it does. And even though they deal with the government, it ends up affecting us on an individual basis. So I mentioned that they are responsible for keeping employment up and stabilizing prices, and then also adjusting, monitoring the interest rates and setting monetary policy. At least there's a committee within the Federal Reserve that's responsible for setting the monetary policy, or the money supply, which is the money supply and interest rates. So when we hear about interest rates going up or down, that's coming from the Federal Reserve. What I did not get a chance to talk about is another component of this, and that is inflation, and how all of this plays into how it affects us. I had us look at credit cards, look at your credit card statements, just to see the interest that they charge you to borrow the money. Or you can look at your loan contract, and also same thing. So like on the high end, I would say they charge like 30%. So if I were to charge $1,000, I'd have to pay $1,300 to pay it off, if I don't pay it off within the 30 days. If I let it go beyond the billing cycle end date, and I don't pay it by the payment due date, then the interest gets tacked on there, which is the $300. So, and that's how they keep you in debt, because now you have to make more than what you borrowed to clear that debt. And most of us, when we're using these cards, or at some point before you were awakened to how it really operates, we're using the card because you needed the money. So if you needed $1,000, you certainly didn't have the $1,300. And so again, that's how they keep you locked into debt. Currently, the interest rate, I think they said, is around 4% to 4.25%, or 4.25 to 4.50. I'll look it up real quick. But they usually have a range for interest rates. And we look at interest rates, and the banks then from there can adjust their interest rate. So how do we go from 4.25% and on your credit card statement is 29 or 21 or whatever, it's above the 4.25. That's the bank's profit margin. That's how they make their money. So anyway, not only is it putting us in a bind, it's also the way they make their money. When the wealthy are dealing with credit, I mentioned that they do something called leveraging. And for them, they're looking at how to use this money to purchase an asset that's going to make them more money than the loan or the credit card that they're using, such that the asset pays the credit card and the interest on the credit card. And that's how they kind of get around not using their money. I'm going to talk also about the inflation aspect of this. And I started this go for it.
Let me ask you something. So, I mean, if they're using leverage, how can we use leverage back on them?
Ooh,
I mean,
that's what we're going to get to. Yeah.
All right, let me shut them. Let me move on back in the back.
All right, inflation. So you notice there's a lot of talk about inflation and keeping the interest rate low. You have the Federal Reserve. I think I mentioned that they had decided to keep interest rates the way they are. They didn't raise them. They didn't lower them. President Trump was upset because he wanted them lowered. So understand, when interest rates are low, it's to encourage people to spend money. You're more inclined to borrow money with a low interest rate. So back when I think this 7-8 housing crash and the interest rates went real low, and people were able to buy not only the interest rate, but the houses themselves, the real estate went really low. So they were able to buy property on pennies on the dollar, and then the interest was like very, very low. So having low interest rate encourages people to borrow and to spend. When you go up and when the interest rate goes higher, of course, now they're trying to tighten up the spending. It's like we got to reel that in, and we have too much money out there, so we got to tighten it up and stop people from spending. So when you raise interest rates and you're doing that, you run the risk of people not buying at the stores or whatever. So these stores or these retail vendors don't have to produce as much. And if they don't have to produce as much, then they don't have to have on staff as many people. So it ends up people get laid off. So the Federal Reserve has to make sure that they're not raising it high enough that it causes enough people to get laid off that it becomes noticeable. And then when they lower the rates, when you lower the rates, you're causing a lot more people to spend, but it also increases inflation. And you don't want inflation going up too high for it to be noticeable. So their job in monitoring this is keeping it at a level that is not really noticeable. So how many people are familiar with the analogy about the frog in boiling water? If you are not, there's a saying about if you put a frog in boiling water, it's going to jump out immediately because it knows it's way too hot and it will die. However, if you put this frog in pleasing waters, maybe lukewarm waters, comfortable waters, and slowly turn up that heat until it starts boiling, they'll end up dying because they don't know to get out. So that's kind of what they do when monitoring the interest rate and inflation. So I don't know if you've all paid attention, but they're always talking about keeping the inflation at 2%. That's a good one, 2%. And that's keeping it at a nice level. So another thing I want to talk about is how we go in the stores. And one way we can tell inflation is rising is when the price of things that you pay for goes up. And I remember talking to friends of mine, and they were talking about how these companies are just ripping us off, and they, raising these prices so they can put this money in their pockets, and they're just lining their pockets and their cronies' pockets and their shareholders' pockets at our expense. And some of that is true, but I want us to look at something different. So when interest rates are low and a lot of spending is going on, it causes inflation. what is really happening is it's causing the dollar to lose its purchasing power. It's devaluing the dollar. So let's say we have a candy bar that costs $1. And inflation rises 10%. And I'm just using that as an exaggeration. They certainly don't want it to get that high because that's very noticeable. But if inflation rises 10%, then that dollar now is worth 90 cents instead of $1. So it's hard for us to go around going, okay, this dollar now is really not a dollar, it's 90 cents. So what can I buy? I can't buy that candy bar for $1. Okay, so now I have to, too much to think about. So they leave us to think, yep, this dollar is still a dollar. And they offset it by raising that candy bar 10 cents. So now you go to the store and that candy bar is $1.10 instead of $1. It's not that candy bar went up in value. It's that the dollar was devalued. So they want to keep that inflation rate low. So you're in that pot, not realizing that fire is slowly being turned up. Are we getting the picture of what's going on really with the money and how it's devalued and the purchasing power is lowered? So when you hear a lot of people talking about, it's going to collapse and all, it's because it's constantly being devalued. There are several ways that the dollar can be devalued.
All right, but let me ask you something, sis.
Mm-hmm.
So with these, with that dual power that's in office right now, do you see, or do you understand, or what is your thought on it as to their motives? Just like what you just said, could you see their motives they're doing things in a way that will benefit them personally? I mean, both of them are billionaires.
Well, okay. Can I continue? Because I want to pose that question to you.
Oh, all right, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
Follow me. After I go through this, I want to pose that same question to you. And now when I say you, I'm talking to everybody on the chat as well, and everybody that's listening. So again, like I said, they want to keep inflation at a rate that is not recognizable. It's not impacting you to a point where you're like, hey, wait a minute. This is way out of proportion here. And what's happening is they're losing control of that. All right, let me back up, because I said there were different ways inflation can be raised. Okay, so you got supply and demand. Good example of that, eggs right now. Supply is low, demand is high, raise the price. Right, not because it's low, but because there's more people wanting these eggs, or because of the loss of the amount of eggs that have been sold. You have to now, these people that sell eggs, produce the eggs to sell them, have to find other ways to get this to the market, which is going to cost them money, which they pass on to the consumer in an increase in price. Another way is printing money. When they print a lot of money and put it into circulation, that also devalues the dollar, because we don't have, it's not like we have, oh, okay, so we can just, I'm trying to think of how to explain this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got a good example. All right. So I gave everybody listening $100 bill. And it's just enough for all of us to survive and buy the things we need, all the stores that are available to us for the things we need, and we all live fine. And then I bring in double the people that are here now, and all of them get $100. But the stores didn't increase with what they have. So now there's twice as many people trying to purchase the same thing that was just enough for the original ones. So that's going to cause inflation. Did that make sense?
I got you.
Okay, so all of that money they're printing is causing inflation. I'm missing one. The money printing, and then the Fed. They can control raising or lowering inflation. So all of these things are happening that impact the purchasing power of your dollar. I saw a chart, and it's called a CPI calculator. And you can put in, I'm gonna bring it up real quick. It's the CPI inflation calculator, and it's at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And so you can put in any dollar amount, you can put in any dates, time frames, and it'll tell you the purchasing power. And I saw this chart also that was showing that a candy bar, and I forgot what year they were saying, but in whatever year it was $1. And by 2020, that same candy bar is really $1,300 something dollars. So that's how much we've had an increase or a decrease, a devaluation of our purchasing power. So it's not necessarily the companies that are charging you more, even though they can stick their little extra rates on top of. So going back to that dollar candy bar that's now $1.10, they can come back and say, "Woo, it's $1.25," so that they can make an extra 15 cents off of this inflation cost. And then they do little things like change the packaging, reduce the size of the candy bar, and you so caught up in the new pretty the packaging that you don't realize you lost an ounce off of the candy bar. But this is how they control inflation. And as long as they keep it at a level, like I said, you're that frog, not realizing they're boiling you to death. So from that aspect, the main thing we need to focus on or start tuning into is the Federal Reserve and the interest rates. Are they lowering them? Are they raising them? What's the inflation rate? Because this impacts you. And you need to do something to keep yourself and your family and your household bringing in more than that inflation rate, because that's what's taking more money out of your pocket. The interest rate is basically, and I'll give it to you from the wealthy mindset, is a way to determine when they want to save these dollars or the currency, or they want to spend it. If it's high, guess what? The interest rates at the banks are going to be higher. So the interest rates on these high yield savings accounts are going to be higher. And I talked to my sister-in-law yesterday, and she works at a bank, has worked at different banks for years. She worked at Wells Fargo for a long time. And she said, you know, that's the people with the money, that's when they call here, they want to know what is the interest rate. And that's why, because they know how to move their money based on that. So if it's high, okay, what are you offering me? What's your rate? What? Okay, let me look and see what's going on here, whatever, at some other places. And now they put the banks on notice that you have to vie for my business. I'm not looking to you to supply me, basically, as far as, okay, well, I have to put my money here or whatever. No, I'm looking at who's giving me the best deal. When the interest rate goes low, the interest rates on those same type of accounts, or all savings accounts, or any kind of accounts where you're getting interest off of your money, be it money market, regular savings, high yield savings, it's going to go down. Well, now they're not making as much on their money, so they want to move it somewhere where they can retain the value, get it out of that dollar into something else. So you hear them talk about purchasing gold, silver, fine arts, all of these things that hold value. So that's what's happening while we're trying to just get through the day to day and survive. That's the word I'm looking for.
So Sister Kathy is asking, what is the interest rate now? What is it set at now?
The Fed fund rate is that's what I was telling you. Fed current fund rate. It says as of February 14th, the effective federal funds rate was 4.33, but that's for the banks. The Fed fund rate target range is currently 4.25 to 4.50. So that's what the Fed tells the banks. Now, remember, I told you the banks adjust theirs accordingly. So when you see these interest rates on these credit cards, that's the difference between what they're charging you and what the Fed tells them is their profit. On a savings or interest that you're getting paid, they keep it the other way, either close to that or a little below what the range is.
Now, is that also for housing?
Housing has their different rates.
Okay.
But it's all based on, so again, it is, because it's all based on what the Fed fund rate is, the funds rate is, and then the bank seeing what kind of profit margin they can have. So your housing for a mortgage might be coming in at 6-7%. So they can at least get a profit off of that. Did that make sense?
Well, since
So
I mean, oh yeah, I think it's going to eventually sink in. Put it that way. I mean, there's a whole lot of moving wheels and parts and that's involved in this system, and that's all
yeah,
I'm hearing. From you. Yeah.
that's why, and they keep it that way because they want you focusing on, you know what, that's brain fog. I don't have time for it. I'll just watch the latest sports game or reality show or whatever you're into to entertain you, because I don't want to know all of that. And so all I'm saying is, when you were asking me questions about, well, what about this? And what I can only explain it that. I don't really want to go down that route. I'm not trying to tell you what the interest rate is on housing, and that's for you to research. I'm just trying to get you to understand where these rates are coming from and how to stay ahead of all of that, so that you're not succumb to all of this burying you or boiling you in this pot. That's the whole thing I want us to see right now, is how to get out of that pot, how to stay above that pot, whatever. Don't boil in that pot until you die. So the biggest thing that impacts us on a day-to-day basis, because we go shopping every week or whatever, you do your grocery shopping and all of that kind of stuff. Those are needs. You got to do that. So you have to make sure that you're bringing in money into your household that keeps you above inflation. So going back to that candy bar, if I'm good with my dollar for my candy bar, but now it's 10 cents more, you either gonna have to use 10 cents from somewhere else, or you're gonna have to bring in 10 cents more. So now you have to either get a second job, and I'm using this very minimally because this inflation goes across the board. A lot of things go up. And you start feeling it in the wallet, like, okay, my money isn't going as far as it used to. So you need to either get a raise at work, and most times they are not giving you a raise up to what you're feeling in your pocket. Right now, I think the inflation rate they said is, let me look it up again. I think they said 9%. Inflation. What is the current Fed rate? That's the Fed rate official. Okay, they're saying 3%, but there's a lot of people that's saying it's more than that. But let's just say 3%. A lot of these jobs saying, okay, yeah, we fought hard and we got you this 2% raise. So now you just 1% behind, but you're still behind. And eventually you start feeling further and further behind. So you need to find other ways to get you above that. So you may take on a second job or a side hustle or whatever to bring in that extra money. But if if inflation keeps going up, you have a limited amount of hours in a day to work. You may not be able to work the hours to get you above that. I just want to check in and again see, are you understanding what I'm saying? I forget all the interest rate, what the range, what the housing. I'm just looking at you staying above that, not above water with the neck, meaning, oh yeah, I can, because eventually you're going to start drowning if you're not paying attention to keeping your income higher than that inflation. And when I say income higher, it's really meaning the purchasing power of that dollar has gone down. So you need more of them to survive, or more of them. And because I don't want to use survive, I don't like that term because it makes it like I'm barely living, to stay ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Please tell me you understand this.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I mean,
Okay.
I do. I mean, go ahead.
The other thing you got to do, remember at the, excuse me, my voice is cracking. Remember at the first session we had, I talked about your seed.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. And planting that seed and getting to a point where you can exist off of the excess, off of the harvest that comes from that seed.
Right.
Or having that seed produce another seed that you can put somewhere to eventually produce a harvest, and that you're living off of that.
Yep.
Okay. So to turn that, planting that seed into terms that are financial, planting in finance is the same as investing. The lower level of that is that high yield savings account. So notice I said the range for the Fed fund rate is 4.25 to 4.50. That's the bank. Now the bank is saying, okay, how much do I want to offer on my credit cards and loans so that we can get a profit? Because they have to go above that rate in order to see that profit. And how much am I willing to pay depositors to keep their money in my bank so that I'll have something to loan out in credit cards and loans? This is how banks work. So well, I shouldn't say they'll never, because there are some banks out here that are offering 4% on high yield savings account. But they're not going to give you 7% when the range is 4.25 to 4.50. It's going to stay at or below that. But if they can get you to put your money in their bank at 0.01%, that's all they have to pay you. Like I go back to that first session, offer $10,000, and that's all you put in that account for a whole year, you will get $1. And they're saying, thank you for allowing me to use your money, and all I had to pay you was $1. So when you asked earlier, Mike, well, how do we get ahead of this? You got to stay ahead by staying ahead of that inflationary point. And how do I do that? Okay, so if I need to increase this by this amount, I need to find ways to plan or invest to get me above that point, that target point. So I'm ahead of this game.
Okay.
Okay, because now, until you do that, you're like pawns on a chessboard that they're just moving around at their discretion to win the game. Oh, I hope you all are seeing this. It's like this board in front of my face, so crystal clear. I wish I could show you but I can't, so I'm not going to even, okay. But I'm hoping I am conveying this so you can see this picture in your mind's eye. So that leads me into other ways to invest. And this is where we get into Oh, you hear people investing in the stock market, investing in real estate, investing in crypto, and all these things. I don't have a problem with that. Just know the difference between investing and trading, because there is a huge difference. And one of the things that has been prevalent that I can see is that they have, and when I say they, I'm talking about the government, banks, just the system has manipulated us so much through word salad. They, you know, in our mind, a loan is something I need to help me out because I can't pay for something.
Mm-hmm.
When in actuality, a loan is leveraging. I'm giving you this so you can win and I can win. But only the wealthy understand that. The rest of the people are using it to get themselves out of a hole by putting themselves in a hole because you got to pay more than what you got. That's truly the game of the bank. I want to leverage what I have to help you out to gain the assets that you need to put money in your pocket while you paying me back. And hopefully your assets is paying you enough to not only get you a profit, but also pay off this loan or this credit card. That's the game we're not playing. All right. So, investing and trading. When we hear the word investing, what most of us are really hearing and not knowing is trading. Trading is where you go find a company or a group of companies under an ETF or a mutual fund kind of thing, and you put your money there and you hope it grows. Hopefully you're following this.
Now, but Sister Monica asked you, she said, can you tell us which one?
Which one what? Now, I don't understand the question.
Sister Monica, let me know which one you...
Which ones? I didn't say so much, I don't even know which one. Okay, which one of what I said are we talking about, Sister Monica?
Yeah.
Okay, so when she gets back, I'll answer.
I'll post it when she
Okay.
replies.
All right, thank you. So okay, let me think of where I was. Oh, okay, trading. So it's really, trading to me is a game of chance.
Yes, it is. That's what it is. I'm sorry. That's exactly what it is.
But they have us thinking that's investing, and that's why we don't want to get involved in it, because it's too risky. I don't want to lose my money. All of these things come in our mind about investing when that's not really investing, that's trading. Word salad.
Mm-hmm.
Loan is not really a loan. You asking somebody to give you some money, and their term for loan is really leveraging. Word salad. Can we email you to obtain a copy? Again, I don't know what a copy of. All right, my Sister Monica, a little bit more specific. A copy of which ones are, I'm piecing it together. All right, so now that we understand that investing in our minds is really trading, let me explain what investing is. And again, I do this from the mindset of the wealthy. They either go and research these companies,
Mm-hmm.
and they look at the strength of these companies or a group of companies if they're under an ETF. I don't know too many of them that deal with mutual funds, but that's another option. And I'll explain a little bit of that in a minute. Don't let me forget to explain about ETFs versus mutual funds. But they research to see the companies inside of this ETF or mutual fund, or the company itself, to see its strength, to see its longevity, to see if it's a worthy, valuable company. And then they purchase ownership of that company through stock. And they let it sit there and grow. They don't wait for it to go up and then grab their money out to get a profit. They let it sit there because they bought ownership into this business.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they're lenders, not borrowers. They see themselves as owners. Depending on if you bought one or more shares, it can even put you in a position where you have voting rights. It can, and then depending on the company or ETF you've invested in, and I never checked to see if this also works for mutual funds, but I know for a fact ETFs and individual stocks, some of them even pay out dividends. Okay, I'm gonna get to that, Sister Monica. Thank you. Don't let me hang or end this without addressing that. I'm gonna get to it. And she's asking about the high yield savings account, the list. I'm gonna get to it. So they leave their money there. They may be getting dividends. They may be paid monthly, quarterly, biannually, or annually, but they're making money off of that company that they've bought ownership into. And that's almost, well, not almost, it's the same as having that money in a high yield. You're getting this little dividend payment. It's called a dividend payment because it's off of the profits of the company, as opposed to interest off of depositing your money in a high yield savings account. I'm gonna stop there and make sure everybody is understanding where I'm at.
I tell you, the more I hear it starting, the more the wheels are turning. I understand it. It's coming in bits and pieces, and I think
And
once I'm sorry, sitting in, sis.
it takes a minute.
Yeah.
That's why I'm laying it out. I'm trying to do it in little pieces. And that's why, it's like, I don't want to rush this. I want time for it to soak in, to kind of grasp. It takes a minute. It's not going to happen overnight. Are you asking about the board game, Sister Monica? The board you were explaining. So if you're asking about that, that's another thing I'm going to get to. So I right now, my main thing is I need us really grasping what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
when we get to that board game, it will make sense. If I jump ahead and start talking about this without you having an understanding of what I'm laying out, you're going to go into that board game thinking you're winning and you're not. This is why I'm doing this. This is why I believe it failed when I was offering and hosting the board games in the past, because we did not have this understanding. So if you could just give me a minute, we're going to get there. So anyway, I'm back to investing. In order to really make it work for you, that's the approach you have to take. You have to look at investing as buying ownership in companies, not trading to see if I can make a little money quick or, in the next 2 months or 3 months. That's trading. I'm even afraid of that. And then you even have people on YouTube that, hey, I'm going to give you the ones to invest in. And yeah, if you pick these through, you'll be in that. That's trading, not investing. Investing is a long game.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, I believe in this company. I believe this company is going to be profitable and is going to bring me a return on my investment.
Yep.
And again, a lot of them are looking at dividends, because if I can get those dividends coming into my pocket, that's keeping me above that inflation rate. And if I get enough dividends and interest coming into my pocket, I can even live off of that and never touch my seed. Are you following?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. So that's the difference to me when you're talking about investing in stock, investing in crypto. Investing in crypto is not really ownership of sorts. And let me back up before I say that too quickly, because I don't want all of our crypto experts to tell me that's not true. That's not true. I look at Bitcoin and I don't even know what it is now. I know at one point it was fluctuating between being over 100,000 and a little under 100,000. I don't look at it because it gets me emotional, and you don't make good decisions out of emotions. So the opposite of that is having the knowledge. And right now it's below. So anything lower than $95,600 something dollars is a fraction of Bitcoin. And for that, you'll get a profit. You'll make something if it goes up. You'll lose something if it goes down. Mostly everybody tells you to stay in for the long haul. Don't pull your money out. But like I said, if you're not skilled in how to do that, your emotions take over. And you see it dropping. It's like, oh, I'm losing my money. And you pull your money out. And then you wait to see it go up when you should have been putting more money in there when it's going down or it's at a low. You go back into the game when it's at a high. And now you've lost that opportunity to increase your investment. That's a little different than looking into investing in the ownership of a publicly traded company on the stock market. You also have the bond market. That's investing in government treasuries, a whole nother thing. But again, it's like you're loaning the government money and they're agreeing to pay you back something in return. So overall, you're looking at finding ways to put money in your pocket that's keeping you ahead of the game of inflation, and using interest to guide you in that endeavor. Now, how does interest rate affect these different markets? Stock market, stocks, bonds, commodities, all of that. It used to be when the stock market went a certain way, it affected it negatively or positively. Now it seems to be two separate animals here. When the stock market, when the interest rate goes down, the stock market still may go up and keep going up. So they used to be able to gauge it off of the interest rate, but now it's even difficult to use that as a marker. But it does, these interest rates going up and down affects the stocks or the publicly traded companies within these different markets to fluctuate as well. So it all ties into each other. The biggest thing is keeping yourself ahead of the game by finding ways to have more money coming into your household, than they're asking of for you to maintain the standard of living that you have, or if you want to increase or better the standard of living that you currently have. Are there any questions about what I said so far?
No, it's slowly making sense. I mean, at least with me, it's making sense. And I'm just trying to take the knowledge in where I can use it for myself. And,
the biggest thing right now is to start getting yourself into spaces where your money is bringing you more money, which will lead me to Sister Monica's question. I sent out a list to all of those who sent me their email, a list of high yield savings accounts that I use or would use. And I did get some questions in regards to that. So the list does not include any brick and mortar banks. And when I say brick and mortar, I'm talking about your Bank of America, your Chase, your Citi, your Wells Fargo, your US Bank, your PNC, regional banks that I don't know anything. I just know the big ones that most people that are in most cities and states. The reason why is because majority of them right now are offering 0.01%. And that's not a high yield savings account. The only financial institutions that are offering those are online. So a close friend of mine called me and said, Doreen, I'm going to tell you, unless you walk me through this, I'm not going to do it. So I'm going to set up something and where I walk us through it. For anybody who's feeling fearful and just needs that handheld, we're all going to do it together. And if you send me your email, I will send you a link with the date and time. I either do it on Zoom or something like that, where we can all come together and do this together. I want you to see me doing it because I don't want you to think I'm having you do something I'm not doing myself. I have one. I have them. But I will do another. I'll take money from one and put it in this just so you can see me doing it along with you. And the first thing I think I want to do before putting any money in it is just open it. The ones on the list require $0 to open it. That's why I put those on the list. You don't need a penny to open it. You eventually have to fund it, but you don't need money to open it. We got to get in the game. It's not, when somebody is saying, I'll open an account for you for $0, take advantage of it. So I'm going to walk us through it. And Sister Monica, I hope that gives you an extra sense of support and security. But you're not going to find any brick and mortars that are offering these type of interest rates. Is this reasonable? Okay, so I'm seeing y'all saying.
Yes, I'm about to bring that to your attention.
Okay, there's something in the background, Brother Mike, that I can hear. There you go. Okay, is this reasonable or obtainable considering the time we are in? They are talking about going to digital money in a matter of months. All right, let me answer that. I say this. First of all, I've been hearing about us going into digital currency and the collapse of the dollar I've been hearing this for years. And I sat and I waited because I wasn't going to do anything because they're going to, I don't know what's going to happen to my money. And I finally realized every day I waited, I lost. So my opinion on that at this point is it didn't happen today. And when you start getting involved in this and you start paying attention to certain things, you get indicators, real indicators, that you'll know to move your money and do whatever you need to do with your money before it actually comes down. You think that the people that are doing this are sitting there going, oh, well, I'm just going to risk losing my... No, they know. And they're passing on to you, it's coming. But just think about it. How long have you been hearing that it's coming? Now, don't get me wrong. I see what President Trump and Elon Musk and what they're doing. But as long as I have this opportunity, I'm going to take advantage of it. As you get more skilled in recognizing or at least being a part of a community or a network who's providing you with the true information, you'll know when it's time to make certain moves with your money. So I don't buy into those anymore. I saw how many months and years it cost me in loss of additional money because I'm waiting on something to happen. That's just me.
And with that, let me do it this way, sis, because I got 5 minutes. I got to get into another meeting.
Okay.
Let me pose this to you. I don't have a problem with coming back on today, later on today. I mean, I mean, don't get me wrong, sis. With a lot of people, this it ain't like it's going over their head. I mean, I already got my. I'm already convinced that it's going to be some people that's going to be interested in, and usually those are the ones that's making the comments.
Okay.
And so, I mean, I don't care if it's 2 or 3, but you have brothers and sisters that are interested in learning more and things of that nature. I don't have a problem with coming back on later on today or whatever the situation may be, and we can move on, move in that direction. I mean, 10:30, 11. I can come back on at 11 o'clock or 12 in order to for you to, really get into it.
Well, I mean, I pretty much put it out there.
Okay.
The biggest thing I want everybody to know is that I get it. It's a scary move, especially when you've been used to doing something for so long. It's scary to make this kind of a change when it involves your money. And the best I can do is just offer a way where we can do it together. I saw a question about, are you a consultant in finance? I do financial management consulting. I am not a financial advisor. I am not a certified fiduciary, although I operate as one. So that hopefully answers your question, Sister Monica. I don't even want to get into being a financial advisor because of the certain restrictions they have, especially when a lot of these financial advisors have the mindset of the working class, which is keeping you locked into a system that I'm showing you how to get out of. So if you're okay with that, that's fine. Let's get together and let's start making some moves. You don't even have to put a lot of money. Just put your toe in the water and see how it works.
Okay.
You feel more and more comfortable, and then you can add to it. But you've established it, you have it open, and that'll get you started. Once you see that working for you, it'll open you up to be a little bit more tolerable about investing in other things like the stock market, like crypto, like the bond market, on all these different things that avail you additional money in your pocket. You got to get above that inflation rate to stay above the game. That's the biggest thing I wanted you all to get today. That's what keeps you ahead. That's what keeps your excess, so that now you can go back and help others without it hurting you.
All right, sis. I got to get into this meeting now. Let's do this here then.
Today, Mike, I can't do it because my day
All
is
right.
packed today too. So I think we can leave it there. I had a couple of things I said to remind me of. I know one of them was Sister Zenobia, and I did not see her come in today.
No, I didn't see her either.
Okay, so, and the other one, I don't remember. It was something you asked or somebody asked, and I can't remember. So I can answer it on Thursday. But Thursday, we're picking up from here. We're going on to the next step, and that's understanding our financials. And no, I'm not talking about a budget. So come back, and we're going to put the next piece of this together.
All right. And with that, brothers and sisters, sister, like as Sister Doreen said, she'll be back Thursday, and then I hope to see you brothers be back on tomorrow, and then with Sister Doreen Thursday. And keep your head on the swivel, Israel. We're seeing what's happening in these last days, and let's just stay alert. With that, I will say shalom.
Shalom.